all of them. And in this, we can see this equipment is for testing these lamps that are all fitted there. With this equipment, we can do aging tests, we can do live tests, and then there are some other equipment that are available here where all parameters of our lamps can be tested. We can test efficacy, we can test power consumption, we can test all ranges of electrical, mechanical properties of a lamp. In this laboratory, even if it requires that we test a lamp for maybe 100 hours, we don't need to be available. We have a power supply that can take care of that for hours. For maybe over 100 hours, the power supply, the inverters will be on, and then the test equipment will be able to go on. We have equipment for testing cables, all parameters of cables to test. And then we have equipment for testing batteries. We have equipment for testing home equipment, household equipment especially. We call that one domestic laboratory. In there, all items that are used in the home, in the house, we can test them. A good number of parameters that can come out, that can bring out a product to tell you that this product is good and fit for use, and that it will meet customer requirement, customer expectation. We have all the test equipment to carry out the test.
We have equipment that we use to test kinematic viscosity at 40, at 100. We have two of this type in case sample comes in so much. We have the falling ball, which is there, falling ball viscometer. We have this one is automated. We can test 50 sample of loop in 2 days. So, and we have a lot of equipment like even code cracking for engine oil classification. So we have a lot of it. And we have also the PowerPoint equipment. They have already equipped us, and they've given us training also, because most of these equipment are automated. And it's not like in those days when we do falling ball. I was the one doing falling ball in those days. We have one kinematic viscosity equipment where we do falling ball. We take the time that the ball will fall from one mark to the upper mark to the lower mark. We calculate dynamic kinematic viscosity. From there we calculate the density. From there we begin to calculate kinematic viscosity, which way we are going. But now, when we put the engine oil, loop oil into the machine, it gives us kinematic viscosity straight. It's even giving us density. It gives us specific gravity. It gives us also the viscosity index. So those are we are well equipped.
No doubt, the SON runs an automated laboratory service which the agency's chief executive told Standard & U is part of a deliberate resolve to reposition the Standards Organization of Nigeria to make it a global brand with requisite cutting-edge infrastructure and competent staff providing services in line with international best practice.
Most of our laboratories have been internationally accredited. The older ones, the scopes are being increased by the day. We are also training our staff in the lab for proper testing, because with internationally accredited labs, if we want to produce or manufacture, be it agriculture, solid mineral, and other areas of the economy, that has nothing to do with petroleum. You cannot take your products to our accredited labs for testing. Once you have certification from our labs, your product will now be accepted all over the world. It will now reduce the issue of the past where they reject some of our products because of non-conformity to international best practice. We have increased capacity for testing and human capacity development to be a par with international best practice.
Aboloma disclosed that the SON is still acquiring more equipment and deepening its testing and analytical capacity to make the agency a center of excellence in the field of quality assurance and standardization in Africa and beyond. Construction work is ongoing to erect more structures to accommodate more laboratories in the country.
Director, Federal Polytechnic, Ilaro, Ogun State, architect Olusegun Aluko, has commended the Standards Organization of Nigeria for its commitment towards the growth of local manufacturers to providing the nation with homegrown solutions to tackle the dreaded coronavirus. He gave this commendation during an inspection of the institution's mechanical hand sanitizer, disinfectant booths, and mechanical ventilator by officials of the Standards Organization of Nigeria in Ogun State. Alimot Osifo has details of that exercise.
According to the rector, the visit by the SON team is a great encouragement to the institution's management in its efforts to support the federal government in containing the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. He expressed the institution's preparedness to subject its various innovations to SON scrutiny with a view to getting them all certified under the mandatory conformity assessment program for Made in Nigeria products. Architect Aluko called for greater support from the federal government and the organized private sector for mass production of the homegrown innovations and solutions to reduce the nation's dependency on imported products, pressure on hard-earned foreign exchange, and promote relatively cheaper local alternatives. According to him, the innovations by the Federal Polytechnic Ilaro, other tertiary institutions, and local manufacturers are coming at the right time as the world is facing a pandemic with attendant need for ventilators, sanitizers, and disinfectant booths, among other essential materials. The local manufacture of these products and materials, if well supported, will be more accessible and cheaper compared to imported ones, which are scarce, costly, and will take longer to deliver, he said.
We came about this equipment that will take care of certain category, especially our children in secondary schools and primary school. They should have something to prevent them from getting infected. So if all the pupils will wash their hand or sanitize their hand, we are almost there. We have disinfectant door because of the large number of population they are going to deal with, and because of the time. Some of them will not have the time to say they want to wash hands. So we have a disinfectant door. They just walk through it, spend 20 seconds inside it, and it's disinfecting the whole body. So that's exactly what we have done.
Speaking on behalf of the Director General, Osita Boloma Esquire, during the inspection exercise, SON Ogun State Office 1 Coordinator, Engineer Jerome Umoru, reaffirmed the organization's commitment to provide unrelenting technical support to all manufacturers of essential materials and equipment, including tertiary institutions, in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond.
So today convinced me that it's just a matter of environment. Give the Polytechnic and University chance to do well, and I'm happy with what I have seen today. And I found out that most of the things that I have seen meet the requirements of the standards, especially the safety measures.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. Time now to join Alimot Osifo on our feedback segment.
Hello, and nice to have you on the feedback segment of the program. I am Halimot Osifo. So, how do you avoid being cheated? The answer is knowing your moral and legal entitlements. In other words, consumer rights. Right to safety. Yes. While it is essential for manufacturers to obey the rules related to the safety of consumers, the consumer can demand a ban on the sale of goods injurious to health, like harmful food products, inferior medicines, and electrical appliances without safety devices. Right to choose. If a product is produced by more than one manufacturer, then the consumer has a right to inspect the products of various manufacturers so that they may purchase a quality product at an appropriate price after making a comparative study. Right to information. You can demand for any information about the quality, price, content of any products and have access to manufacturing date, expiry date, address of manufacturer, directions, and more. Right to redress. You have the right to notify the manufacturer or seller of any defects found in the goods purchased by you. When they do not address your complaints, you can approach the concerned authorities and seek redress. Right to consumer education. It's a lifelong responsibility which educates you with information on products and services to enable you make informed decisions during purchase. It's important for you to know your rights because an enlightened consumer is an empowered consumer. Standards Organization of Nigeria is one government agency committed towards that. Report to us whenever you're denied your consumer rights or value for your money. And that concludes this week's episode of the program Standard and You. For any question, complaints, or suggestion, you can send in your messages with your full name and location to the number 0705-972-4455. Follow us on Facebook at Standard and You, Instagram and Twitter at Standard and You _. You can catch up with missed episodes online at youtube.com/Standard and You. Don't just view, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, buy original, sell authentic, and use only the best. Bye for now.
Why you dey buy fake product Make you dey careful, no go damage your life. You've got one life to live. Buy original. You should know where to go. So.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, information management is key. I'm Cyril Stover,
Fatima Umar Buba,
Joseph Johnson,
Ian Ray John,
Muhammad Kudu Abubakar,
Jumbo Yusuf.
My name is Kirian Umaya. Here in NTA, we're working very hard to make sure that everything we broadcast is accurate and up to date. Misinformation spreads very fast.
The social media has been a huge conveyor of misleading information from one individual to another, then to another set of groups. In a short while, it goes viral, and before you know it, it is all over the world.
There have been several misleading information on coronavirus COVID-19.
A very warm welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Yusuf Nadabu Usman. The top stories. President Buhari received 5th interim report on Nigeria's national response to coronavirus pandemic. Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 extends phase 2 of gradual ease of lockdown. Court orders the Nigerian police to release corpses of 3 members of Islamic movement killed in 2019 and pay compensation to their families. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally received the 5th interim report on Nigeria's national response to the coronavirus pandemic. The report was submitted by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. The report contains the progress made so far by Nigeria in the fight against COVID-19, challenges encountered, and the options available on the best way forward. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the second phase of the gradual ease of lockdown, which was for an initial period of 1 month, ends today. In the second phase, now subject to review, government had relaxed restrictions of banking operations and worship places, but retained the nationwide curfew to limit social interactions and therefore reduce the risk of the transmission of the virus, which is now on community transmission level. It had also removed restrictions on the movement of essential goods and services. Briefing journalists after the engagement with the President, Chairman of the Task Force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, hinted that going forward, the country may witness what he called precision coronavirus lockdown after only specific council areas with high infection rate.
They account for 60% of the figure you have of the 24,077 infections. Those 18 local governments account for 60% of those figures. And the reason for the precision lockdown is to in place in those places specific measures that will be administered by the state governments and the local authorities. It's not for the federal government, it is the responsibility of the state governments and the local authorities to put in place measures which might be similar to the first response we had of the total lockdown of those communities. And now aggressively collect samples, test, and those that are found infected before the transmission continues in that particular community, they are taken into isolation. Right now, we are at a very advanced stage of community transmission. And at that stage, there is hardly much that government can do. The best we can do is to push the narrative that we have sustained over the last 3 months, realizing and being conscious of the fact that there is no vaccine in sight, no drug has been gotten for the cure of COVID-19. The only thing that we would continue to appeal to our people to adhere to is the non-pharmaceutical interventions. What are the non-pharmaceutical interventions that we have pushed in the last 3 months? Is maintain social distancing, wearing of mask, non-pharmaceutical mask or non-medical mask in public places, maintaining proper hygiene of washing of hands, of sanitizing hands, avoiding crowded environments. And if it's not necessary, you don't have to travel anywhere, stay at home.
Similarly, during today's media briefing, Presidential Task Force Chairman Boss Mustafa has announced an extension of Phase 2 of the gradual ease of lockdown with another 4 weeks from Tuesday, June 30th, 2020 through midnight of Monday, 27 July 2020. During the extension of the second phase, Boss Mustafa said movement across state borders is permitted only outside curfew hours with effect from 1st July 2020, and interstate transport services will resume only with noticeable compliance to safety guidelines to be enforced by state governments, just as previous guidelines for federal and state government workers remain. He also informed that there will be safe reopening of schools to allow students in graduating classes to resume in person to prepare for examinations with sustained restrictions on mass gatherings and sporting activities. Other members of the committee said overnight curfew nationwide is from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. and it remains, and urge Nigerians to support the task force while doing the needful.
Who own their workshops or workstations and can clearly adhere to non-pharmaceutical interventions will be permitted to operate as normal. Bars, gyms, cinemas, event centers, and nightclubs remain closed, and this will be enforced.
And more than 500,000 people have lost their lives to coronavirus globally. Let's now join Adebola Brooksley Sunday for this and more on Global Update. We sincerely apologize for that little hitch. We now continue with the news. One that is ready, we'll bring it to you. All Progressives Congress Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Committee has been inaugurated. The chairman of the committee and governor of Yobe State, Maimala Buni, assured of leadership that will practically, that is, demonstrate the desire of the APC to create a prosperous future for the nation. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the All Progressives Congress.
The 13 wise men chosen across the 6 geopolitical zones during the last National Executive Committee meeting taking oath of office. They are expected to provide a new leadership to the All Progressives Congress. Chairman of the committee, Maimala Buni, a 2-time National Secretary of APC, said the party, which is built on strong ideology with experienced politicians, will open a new chapter in line with the committee's agenda and resolve all crises through intra-party peace-building mechanism. Members of the committee, he assured, are capable of the task ahead.
As this party trusted by Nigerians and voted massively for 2 times in a row, we must shun away from any attempt to distract us from delivering the dividend of democracy to Nigerians. What happened to us as a party in the last few months is not totally strange in a big political party such as the All Progressives Congress. I urge all party members to heed to the appeal by our leader, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, on his call to all aggrieved members who have instituted various cases in the courts to please withdraw such cases in the interest of our great party.
The 13-member Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Committee is also expected to build sustainable peace among members within 6 months. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Now let's get back to our earlier story. More than 500,000 people have lost their lives to coronavirus globally. Let's now join Adebola Brooksley Sunday for this and more on Global Update.
Data from COVID-19 Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University show that the global coronavirus cases have now exceeded 10 million and more than 500,000 people have died from the respiratory disease. The United States account for about a quarter of all deaths, followed by Brazil, United Kingdom, Italy, and France. At about 7 p.m. local time, the global death toll now stands at 505,616, while 5,591,271 persons have recovered from the virus. Meanwhile, Iran has reported 162 deaths from the novel coronavirus. The Health Ministry spokesperson, Sima Sadat Larry, said it is the highest single-day toll since the outbreak began in the country in February this year. On the African continent, 382,652 persons have been infected with coronavirus, with 9,657 fatalities recorded, while 182,569 people have recovered as published by the Africa Center for Disease Control back home in Nigeria. The nation's Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 24,567 positive COVID-19 cases in the country, 565 deaths, and 9,007 recoveries. So far, the country has tested 130,164 samples and currently has 14,995 active cases.
Well, many thanks, Sunday. International Day of Tropics is a United Nations observance held annually on June 20. Its main goal is to raise public awareness of the tropical areas, the challenges they face, and the emerging opportunities they present. The tropics are therefore a region of Earth surrounding the equator. They are located between the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere and the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere. The tropics as a region account for 40% of the world's total surface area and are host to about 80% of our planet's biodiversity. 40% of the world's population lived in the tropical areas as of 2014. The region is also host to much of the world's cultural and language diversity. While tropical nations have made significant progress, the tropical zone still faces various challenges in the sphere of sustainable development. And to speak more on the International Day of the Tropics is the former president, Nigerian Environmental Society, Dr. Uche Agbanusi. Glad to have you in our studio, Dr. Uche.
Thank you.
Welcome to NTA International.
Thank you very much.
The area of the tropics seem to be, a source of not well understood. That is, which part of the world is the tropics, and what do you think should be looked out for while celebrating this day?
Well, when we talk about the tropics, like we mentioned before, is a region, a geographical region bordering the equator itself. These are geographical space and climatic region that borders the equator. The equator, they are just about 23 degrees away from equator, both north and south of equator, and that of tropic of Cancer is in the north of the equator, whereas the Tropic of Capricorn is in the south. This region stretches all around the globe, showing...
Dr. Uche, I'm not really cutting you short there, but it sounds too academic, this. How would you explain this to a layman?
Well, to a layman, you can tell the layman that you have three divisions of the Earth's surface. You have the temperate regions, which is north. Then you have the temperate region that is in the south, South Pole, North Pole. Then at the center, you have what you call the tropics. And that is where you have much of biodiversity. When we talk about biodiversity, we're talking about plant species, animal species of different kinds. They are there, and they're in large quantity, and it sustains a lot of lives. Like was read, it sustained about 40% of the world's population in that region. So, and that the area you have large expanse of lands that are vegetated. You have what you call the Amazon region.
Okay, now that being the case, Doctor, how significant is this day, and what are the major challenges facing the region, and what's the way out of these challenges?
Well, it's very, very significant because it appears that the people that are occupying this particular region that is called the tropics are not really managing these tropical vegetations and the biodiversities well. the reason is that most of them living in this region are poor people. I can say poverty in the sense that they engage in wrong agricultural practices that deplete the soil, and they engage in hewing down, felling down the trees, slaughtering everything that is on their way, both plants and animals. And that is why we say that those people that are living in those tropical regions are not actually managing it. It is a resourceful area that is full of all kinds of biodiversity, but the problem is the management.
Well, Dr. Uche, that being the case really, again, let me just put it this way. Is there any reason there for people in these tropics, especially Nigeria, to mark this day, since there are so much challenges and it seems they've been endemic?
I didn't get you right.
I'm saying that is there any reason for people in this region, the tropics, especially Nigeria, to mark this international day with these challenges which seem to be endemic?
Of course. The purpose of marking this day is not just for celebration. It's just for people to sit back and think about the resources God has put in our hands and the way we're supposed to manage them. So the United Nations just call this day so that people will recall, people will just look back and know how and assess the way they have been using these resources that have been placed in their hands. Mismanagement of these resources is a very big loss to us, even as human beings, and we have even affected our environment so badly that a lot of things are happening within this region. The region that's supposed to be a very, very resourceful region, that we have all manner of diverse biodiversities, but we are not managing it well, and that is why we are experiencing some of the problems we are experiencing today. For instance, when you give people plots to build, the first thing they will do is to look for a bulldozer and pull down every tree that is on the way. What is there? You are saying that you don't need the trees. These are the things that recharge the water, the underground water, and these are the trees that give us the oxygen we take in and take away from us the carbon dioxide we breathe out. But we are destroying all these things in the name of development. And that is not development. Okay. I call it destruction.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Uche Agbanusi, former president of Nigerian Environmental Society. We thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. That was Dr. Uche Agbanusi speaking to us on International, Day of the Tropics. We shall now take a break. NTA International News continues in a moment. Stay with us.
The incessant reports of rape and sexual offences in recent times is indeed worrisome. Are you a victim? It may be rape, incest, sexual abuse or sodomy. I have good news for you. NAPTIP implements the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, and we now have the National Sexual Offenders Register, which records the names of all perpetrators. This register aims to name and shame all perpetrators to serve as a deterrent. If you are a victim, seek help now, and we assure you that justice will be served.
Register sexual abuse cases and perpetrators on www.nsod.naptip.gov.ng or call the Sexual Offenders Register hotline on 0703 0000 or NAPTIP hotlines on 0803 220 3462, 0818 384 6635, social media platforms and iReport app. This message is brought to you by NAPTIP with support from ROLAC, funded by the European Union.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Nigerian police force to release the corpses of 3 members of Islamic movement in Nigeria to their families for burial. The 3 followers of Sheikh Ibrahim el-Zakzaki were killed during a street protest on July 22, 2019 at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja. Olabode Arewa reports.
Ahmad Musa, Ibrahim Abdullahi, and Yusuf Abubakar Faska filed a fundamental rights enforcement suit against the Nigeria Police, the National Hospital, and Asokoro Hospital, Abuja, saying the killing of their brothers, Mahdi Musa, Biliamin Abubakar Faska, and Suleiman Shehu, was an infringement of their rights to life and liberty. After hearing arguments from the parties, Justice Taiwo ruled that the rights of the dead men were indeed breached. The court ordered the respondents to pay 5 million naira in damages to each of the applicants and release the bodies of the dead to them for burial. Biliamino, Suleiman, and Musa were among those protesting Zakzaki's detention last year.
There is no price tag to be put on the life of any Nigerian. The court so much value the life of Nigerians to that extent. We appreciate the court for that wonderful judgment.
Those cops have no business with the case before the court at all. That's what I was trying to inform the court, that the court was misled into, arriving at, but they will take the appropriate step. We will file the necessary process so that the court will be put in a better position, so that nobody will be misled.
Meanwhile, the court has deferred hearing in the fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by the former APC national chairman, Adams Oshomole, to challenge the report of the panel of inquiry instituted by Edo State government against him. Oshomole is praying the court to set aside the report, citing lack of fair hearing by the panel. The matter is adjourned to July 8, 2020. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Many thanks, Olabode. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Deputy Commissioner of Police Ali Abubakar Musa as his Chief Personal Security Officer, CPSO. In a release signed by Senior Special Assistant to the President in Media and Publicity, DCP Musa from Nigerian Police Zone 5, that is Benin City, as his last station house from Niger State. And Musa's appointment follows the deployment of his predecessor, Commissioner of Police, Abdul Karim Dauda. The Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has destroyed several structures of Boko Haram and neutralized their fighters at Woshel in northern part of Borno State. This was achieved through airstrikes executed on the 27th of June 2020 with the help of credible intelligence reports and days of aerial surveillance that established the settlement as a staging area to launch attacks against friendly forces locations and surrounding civilian settlements. The Air Task Force also dispatched a force package of Nigerian Air Force fighter jets, that is, as well as an intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft to engage the location. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, commends the ATF for their dedication and professionalism, the Defense Headquarters, and also urges them to intensify the air offensive against the terrorists and all other criminal elements threatening the peace and security of the country. The Nigerian Sports Federation embarks on online training for the athletes and coaches during the COVID-19. Lumide Oguntola has details on Sports Update.
With the coronavirus pandemic